Hi, how y'all doing tonight? I'm Clemographic Studios. I'm Andrew Clem. I tried to make a nice video today, but this is like my sixth attempt, so bear with me. This is my studio. I uh, I do all my art in acrylic ink, and acrylic ink. This is the brand I use right now. But what I'm trying to do is I also use other brands because most textures are different, and it covers better. I use the standard, just about standard tools that everybody else uses. Of course, it's the way you use them. And let me show you around in the studio. Like you see, everybody, I carry I like my little memorabilia. I've got my stuff around here. I know the desk where I can work my computer stuff on. I've got my printer, and I can also do computerized stuff over there too. So what I did is I posted on Instagram, which I also have Instagram, and I also have Facebook, and I sell also on eBay. So if you would like to purchase one of my pieces, if you go on eBay, they're there, and also if you see it on Instagram, then it's also available. But subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll see how this is done. So I'm just going to go over a little bit. I introduce myself. I'm going to go over how I do these things. All right, most of it has been trial and error. This is Ghost Rider. I'm going to use a glow in the dark ink for this. So what I usually do is, all of it's by eye. As you can tell here, here's the skull, right? And here's the skull on here. And so what I usually do is know if I draw the skull here, that the words should line up a little bit like they do here, right around the middle of the skull. And so over a period of time, what I figured out is that on canvas, pencils don't really do well. It smudges the ink. It makes the ink not as bright. And so what I figured out is the Stadler blue pencil. It's basically a non-photographic. You can't copy it or Xerox it, and it erases off cleanly. The ink goes on really bright and vibrant, and so that's how I can do these without leaving any smudges or any smears from the ink. And so the biggest thing that I like to do is I like to try to mimic the artist that I'm doing, but also do it in my own style. Like, see, here's Textera's nose on Ghost Rider. It's similar, but I think a skull's nose should be wider. And just like with the eyes and the jawline, it's similar to his, but not exactly. So it's his theory, but I use my own. I copy, I wouldn't say copy, but I use my own style in reproducing it. So that's just the way as far as I like to do things. Now, the one thing that I also like to do is when you're coloring them, which I'll get into part 2 of this, because this is just the layout. This is getting it all laid out. Notice it's all loose. I try not to be too specific on my blue line outlay, because most of the time I'm going to come back and I'm going to have to fill it in with ink. Now, the biggest thing working with acrylic ink is that it runs, it's not thick. The biggest thing is when you try to go over a black line, you can't do a black line first. You got to do the color, and then you come back with black around it. So that way it keeps it in. Most of the time what you'll usually do is you'll draw the black outline and then you'll put the color up to it. Well, you can't really do that with acrylic ink because it smears. It smears the black, and then you got a great big mess going on here. I also use some other tools which I'll get into in another video, but right now I just wanted to introduce myself, do my layout of the current one that I'm getting ready to do, because I think it's going to be pretty badass. And it'll be for sale like the rest of mine are on eBay. And if you go to Instagram and you see my Clemographic Studio, I've got a lot more listed on there. Also go to Facebook. I'm also on Twitter. I'm also on DeviantArt. If you go on there and you find one that you like, so just subscribe. I'll walk you through how to do one of these, and each one that I do, I'm going to post a video, and that way you'll understand the layout, because each one's different. And I know there's a lot more questions about how do I don't poke the canvas, what erasers I use, different types of erasers, where I get my ideas from, and so on and so forth. So I appreciate you watching my video. I hope you could subscribe. That way you can follow me, and I hope you buy a piece of my art, because there's a lot of history behind everything that I do. All right. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later.